The sky above Zithera was not like Earth's sky. It shimmered with streaks of blue and green, twisting like ribbons of light across the horizon. Towering structures built from a metal that gleamed like glass stretched into the sky. The streets below were alive with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some walked on 4 legs, some on 6, and others floated just above the ground, carried by strange anti-gravity devices. Among all this splendor, one figure stood out more than the rest. Queen Zyra, the ruler of Zithera, moved with the grace of a predator and the authority of a storm. Her scales glimmered silver under the sky's light, her eyes sharp like diamonds. She was known across the galaxy as a wise and fierce leader, but also as a mother who loved her daughter above all else. Her daughter, Liara, walked beside her. Liara was different from her mother in many ways. While Zyra's presence commanded fear and respect, Liara's presence drew curiosity and warmth. Her scales were lighter, almost golden, and her eyes had a gentle glow. She had the intelligence of her people, but a heart that longed to understand others, especially humans. Today, something unusual was happening. Humans had come to Zithera for the first time. Earth had sent a delegation to start talks about friendship, trade, and exploration. The humans were small and fragile compared to Zitherans, but they were intelligent and fearless in their own way. Ethan was part of that human delegation. He was young, about 25, with brown hair and kind eyes. Unlike many humans, he was not afraid of aliens. Instead, he was fascinated by them. He had spent months studying Zitheran culture, learning their customs, their language, and even their unusual gestures of respect. The human delegation was invited to a ceremonial hall, a massive structure made of shining crystal-like panels. The hall was filled with Zitherans in flowing robes, each adorned with symbols of their rank and family. As Ethan stepped in, his heart pounded. He had read about Queen Zyra and her daughter, but seeing them in person was overwhelming. "Do not move too quickly," whispered Liara, noticing Ethan's nervous glance. "They are sensitive to sudden movements. Just show respect," Ethan nodded. He tried to imitate the bowing gesture Liara had shown him, but his movement was clumsy. Some Zytherans murmured. The hall went quiet as Queen Zyra entered. The temperature seemed to drop slightly as she walked in, her presence filling the room. "You may approach," Liara whispered. "But be careful." Ethan stepped forward, offering a small gift, a crystal from Earth that glowed softly in his hand. He wanted to show friendship, to bridge the worlds. But in Zitheran culture, touching someone without permission, even in greeting, was forbidden. His hand trembled as he held it out to Liara. Before he could place the crystal, a sharp voice rang out, "How dare you touch my daughter?" Queen Zyra's roar shook the hall. Zitherans froze, and Ethan felt every eye on him. His heart skipped a beat. He realized immediately that he had made a grave mistake. I didn't mean any harm," Ethan stammered. "It's just a gift. I wanted to show friendship." Zyra stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "Silence. You do not touch the royal blood without permission. You do not speak until you are spoken to." Ethan bowed as low as he could. "I apologize, Your Majesty. I did not know." But before Zyra could continue, Liara moved between them. She raised a hand, golden scales shimmering in the light. "Mother," she said, her voice calm but strong. "He did not mean to harm me." "I understand him." The hall went silent. Queen Zyra's eyes widened, then narrowed even further. "Understand him? Liara, this human, he is not like us. He cannot be trusted. He is small, fragile, and he does not know our ways." "I know, Mother," Liara replied. "But I have seen his heart. He came here with respect. He is brave and I love him." A collective gasp ran through the hall. Whispers spread like wildfire. Aliens who had never thought humans capable of such emotion stared in shock. Queen Zyra's body stiffened. Her tail lashed behind her as she glared at Ethan. "You love him?" Zyra's voice trembled between rage and disbelief. "Liara, you cannot. He is human. He is insignificant compared to our people." Liara stood firm, her gaze locked on her mother. "Mother, he is brave, kind, and clever. He may be human, but he is more than you think. I choose him. I want to understand him. I want to learn from him." The hall was silent. Ethan felt fear and awe mix inside him. He had never faced a being so powerful, and yet he had never felt so alive. He stepped forward, trying to show respect without making another mistake. "Your Majesty," he said, voice steady, "I do not wish to disrespect your traditions. I only wish to learn and to be honest with Liara. Zyra studied him, her eyes piercing into his very thoughts. Ethan could feel her intelligence, her scrutiny, and her power. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then Zyra's posture softened slightly. Not much, but enough for Ethan to notice. You are reckless, she said finally, and naive. Humans. You have courage, I will give you that. But do you understand what you are asking? Do you understand the responsibilities? Ethan swallowed hard. I know it will not be easy. I know the path will be dangerous. But I want to try. For her. Liara's eyes glimmered with pride. See, Mother? He is willing to take risks, not for glory, not for reward, but for love and respect. Isn't that what our people value most? Queen Zira's gaze shifted from Ethan to Liara, then to the murmuring crowd of Zitherans. She could feel their judgment, their curiosity, their doubts. She took a slow breath. The hall was tense. Even the air seemed to wait for her decision. Finally, Zira spoke, her voice carrying weight across the hall. Very well. If he wishes to prove his worth, he shall have the chance. But understand this, humans are different from us. You will face trials. You must show that your heart, your mind, and your courage are as strong as your words. Ethan bowed again. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best. Liara smiled, a gentle warmth radiating from her. He will be fine, Mother. You'll see. Zyra's eyes narrowed once more, but there was a spark of curiosity. Perhaps, she thought, humans were more than fragile creatures. Perhaps there was something in them worth learning, worth testing, worth respecting. As the crowd slowly dispersed, Ethan and Liara stood together for a moment, looking out at the glowing city beyond the ceremonial hall. The sky streaked with green and blue light, a reminder of how vast and beautiful the universe could be. For the first time, Ethan felt that humans had a place in this alien world. And for the first time, Liara felt that she might bridge the gap between her people and someone very different, but very special at the same time. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. Each sun of Zithera was low in the sky, painting the crystal towers with shades of gold and green. Ethan walked beside Liara through the grand gardens of the royal palace. Flowers unlike any he had ever seen bloomed under the alien sky. Their petals glowed faintly and their sweet scent filled the air. Despite the beauty, Ethan's mind was busy. Today would be his first challenge, a test of courage and intelligence set by Queen Zira. Liara noticed the tension in his posture and gently touched his arm. Do not worry, Ethan. Remember what I told you. Trust yourself and show respect. That is what matters here. Ethan nodded. He tried to feel calm, but the thought of failing made his stomach twist. He had heard stories about the Queen's tests. They were not just challenges. They were trials meant to push someone to their limits. And humans were not known for surviving such trials on Zithera. When they reached the palace gates, a group of Zitheran guards awaited them. Each guard's scales reflected the sunlight, and their eyes, sharp and calculating, seemed to look right through him. One of them, a tall alien with deep blue scales, spoke. Your trial begins at the Cave of Whispers. You must retrieve a crystal of courage from within. Many have tried. Few return. Ethan swallowed hard. The Cave of Whispers was known as a dangerous place. The walls were said to shift constantly, confusing travelers. Strange creatures lived within, testing those who entered with illusions and fears. Liara squeezed his hand. I will be with you until the entrance, but you must go inside alone. Remember, think carefully, act quickly, and trust your heart. Ethan nodded and stepped forward. The cave loomed ahead, a dark opening in the mountains beyond the palace. As he entered, the light from the outside faded, leaving only shadows. He took a deep breath and reminded himself of Earth's lessons. Humans survive by thinking, observing, and acting with courage. The cave was cold, and the walls seemed to whisper his doubts. You are small. You cannot succeed. Turn back. Ethan shook his head, stepping deeper. His footsteps echoed. Suddenly the walls shifted. Shadows formed strange shapes, creatures with glowing eyes and sharp claws. Ethan froze for a moment, then remembered what Liara had said. Trust his heart. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a small mirror, a gift from Earth that reflected light. He angled it toward the shadows, scattering the darkness. The illusions vanished. As he moved deeper, he found the path twisting endlessly. At one point, he almost slipped into a chasm, but a quick grab of the wall saved him. He realized that the cave was testing his reflexes as much as his mind. Every step required caution, observation, and trust in his own abilities. Hours seemed to pass, and Ethan began to feel weary. Then he saw it, a crystal glowing softly, hovering above a pedestal. The crystal of courage. Its light was warm, unlike the cold darkness of the cave. As he reached for it, a voice echoed, "To take the crystal, you must face your greatest fear." Images appeared before him. His home burning, people he loved in danger, his failure to protect them. Fear gripped his chest. Ethan closed his eyes and focused. He remembered why he came here. Not for glory, not to impress, but for Liara and the hope of friendship between their worlds. With a steady hand, he touched the crystal. A warm energy surged through him. The illusions vanished. He had faced the fear, not by fighting it with force, but by trusting his courage and compassion. Ethan emerged from the cave as the sun was setting. Liara ran to meet him, her golden scales glowing in the twilight. "You did it," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with pride. "I knew you would." The guards bowed to him, murmuring in admiration. Even the tall blue-scaled guard nodded once, acknowledging Ethan's bravery. But the challenges were not over. Queen Zyra had more tests in mind. Over the next days, Ethan faced trials of intelligence, diplomacy, and compassion. One test required him to negotiate with a rival alien tribe that had long been in conflict with Zithara. The tribe mistrusted humans and saw Ethan as an intruder. Ethan listened carefully, observing the way the aliens spoke, the subtle movements of their bodies. He spoke slowly, using words of respect and understanding. He suggested solutions that benefited both sides, not just the humans or the Zytherans. By the end of the discussion, the rival tribe agreed to a temporary alliance, impressed by the humans' insight and fairness. Another test required him to save a group of young aliens trapped in a canyon during a sudden storm. Ethan coordinated a rescue using ropes, teamwork, and quick thinking. He organized the young aliens into safe groups, finding paths that minimized danger. When the storm passed, the rescued aliens praised him for his courage and cleverness. Liara watched Ethan through it all, her admiration growing. "He is not just brave," she whispered to herself. "He is wise, kind, and strong in ways even the bravest Zitherans are not." Even Queen Zyra began to notice. At first, she was skeptical, watching from a distance as Ethan faced challenges humans were not expected to survive. But each time he succeeded, she could not deny it. Humans had qualities that were rare even among her own people. They had ingenuity, courage, and a capacity for empathy that could bridge worlds. Finally, after the last trial, Ethan and Liara stood before the queen once more. Ethan was tired, covered in dust from the cave and the canyon, but his eyes were bright. He bowed deeply to Queen Zyra. "Your Majesty," he said, voice steady, "I have done all that I can to show my respect, courage, and heart. I hope it is enough." Queen Zyra studied him, her eyes narrowing and then softening. For the first time, she allowed herself a small smile. "You are remarkable human. You have faced what most of my people cannot, and you have done so with wisdom and care. I do not yet fully understand your species, but I see now that your heart is strong." Liara stepped forward, taking Ethan's hand. "Mother, I told you. He is brave, he is kind, and he is human. That is enough for me." The queen's tail flicked behind her thoughtfully. She nodded slowly. "Very well. You have passed the tests. But know this, Ethan, this is only the beginning. Our worlds are different, and the path ahead is not easy. You will face challenges that test not only your courage, but your heart. Are you ready for that?" Ethan looked at Liara, then at the queen. "I am ready, Your Majesty. For her, for our friendship, and for the chance to learn and grow together." Queen Zyra's eyes softened, and she gave a small, approving nod. "Then so be it. Let the journey continue. Let us see if humans can truly stand among the stars as equals." That night, Ethan and Liara walked through the glowing gardens once more. The city sparkled beneath the alien sky, filled with light and promise. Ethan felt a sense of pride, not for himself, but for what humanity could offer, a spark of courage, a heart willing to face the unknown, and the ability to build bridges across worlds. Liara looked at him, her golden eyes reflecting the lights above. "Tomorrow the real adventure begins," she said softly. Ethan smiled, feeling hope bloom in his chest. "I am ready," he said. The night of Zithera was alive with possibility, and for the first time, a human felt at home among the stars. The morning sun rose over Zithera, casting long shadows across the crystal city. Birds with glowing feathers flew above the palace, their calls echoing like music. Ethan stood at the balcony looking out at the vast city. Today, however, the beauty of Zithera felt different. A sense of tension hung in the air. Queen Zira had summoned an urgent meeting. Reports had come from the outskirts of the planet. A rogue faction of Zitherans planned to overthrow her rule. They distrusted humans and feared their growing influence. Some of them even threatened Liara's life, believing her choice to trust a human was a betrayal. Ethan turned to Liara, whose expression was serious but calm. "What can we do?" he asked. Liara held his hand. "We must act carefully. The rebels are dangerous, but they are not invincible. We have intelligence, strategy, and heart. That is our strength." The queen entered the council room, her silver scales shining in the morning light. Her gaze swept the assembled leaders. "The time for tests is over," she said firmly. "This is no longer a trial. The survival of our city depends on courage, strategy, and trust. Ethan, you will help us." Ethan felt a mixture of fear and determination. He had faced trials before, but now the stakes were real. Thousands of lives could be at risk, including Liara's. He took a deep breath. "I am ready, Your Majesty." "Tell me what to do." The queen nodded. "The rebels are using a series of hidden tunnels to move across the city. They plan to strike at the heart of the palace tonight. You must find a way to stop them before it is too late." Ethan studied the maps of the tunnels. They were complex, twisting like a spider's web. Many of the passages were booby-trapped with old defense mechanisms. He knew brute force would not work. Humans had another advantage: ingenuity. "I can set a trap for them," Ethan said, pointing at several choke points in the tunnels. "If we use their own paths against them, we can contain the threat without heavy fighting. I'll need a small team and access to the city's alert system." Liara's eyes shone with pride. "I will lead a team of Zitheran guards. Together we will follow your plan." Queen Zira studied Ethan for a long moment. Then she gave a slow nod. "Do it. Show us what humans can do." As the sun set, Ethan and the Zitheran forces moved silently through the tunnels. Ethan had designed a system of signals and barricades to slow the rebels, confusing them and cutting off their escape routes. His human intuition, combined with Liara's knowledge of Zitheran strategy, created a plan that even seasoned soldiers would not have expected. The first wave of rebels appeared, moving confidently through the tunnels. Ethan signaled Liara, and the barricades dropped behind them. The rebels were trapped in narrow passages, unable to retreat. Panic spread among them as they realized the tunnels were no longer safe. One of the rebels, a large Zitheran with dark green scales, lunged toward Ethan. Without hesitation, Ethan used his rope and agility to dodge the attack and lead the rebel into a trap. The others soon followed, caught in the clever network of barriers and signals Ethan had designed. Liara's team worked alongside him, using precision and skill to guide the rebels safely into containment zones. At no point did anyone intend to cause permanent harm. Ethan had learned that true courage was not just facing danger, but protecting those who could be hurt, even your enemies. Hours passed and the rebels were finally contained. Ethan and Liara emerged from the tunnels, tired but victorious. The queen met them at the entrance, her eyes reflecting a mixture of pride and relief. "You have done the impossible," Zira said. "Not only have you protected the city, but you have shown us that humans are capable of intelligence, courage, and compassion beyond expectation." "I see now why my daughter trusts you." Liara smiled and turned to Ethan. "See, Mother? I told you he is worthy. He is human and he is brave. That is enough." The queen studied Ethan closely. Then she nodded slowly and with respect. "Humans are different, yes. Fragile in body, perhaps. But their minds and hearts, they are formidable. You have earned your place among us, Ethan." Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, not from pride alone, but from understanding. Humans were small in the universe, yet they could rise to challenges with courage, intelligence, and empathy. He had learned that Zitherans were strong, but humans had something just as powerful, a heart that refused to give up. In the days that followed, peace returned to Zithera. The city celebrated its survival and the bravery of those who had defended it. Ethan was honored not as a guest, but as a trusted friend and ally of the Zitheran people. He and Liara spent time exploring the city together, sharing stories of their worlds. She told him about her childhood, about learning to be strong and wise. He told her about Earth, about human struggles, inventions, and dreams. They discovered that despite the differences in their species, they shared hopes, fears, and the desire to protect those they loved. One evening, they walked to a hill overlooking the city. The sky above Zythera shimmered with ribbons of light. Stars twinkled and distant planets glowed softly. Liara rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. "Do you think our worlds can truly understand each other?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at the glowing city and then at Liara. "I think they can," he said. "It will take time, courage, and understanding. But we've already begun. Humans may be small, but we can make a difference. We can show that respect, bravery, and love matter everywhere." Liara smiled, squeezing his hand. "And you have already shown that to my people. They respect you because you acted with your heart, not just your strength." Ethan felt a deep sense of belonging. He had come to Zythera as a human among aliens, fragile and unsure. Now he stood as a bridge between worlds, proving that humanity's greatest strength was not size or power, but heart and courage. Queen Zyra watched them from the palace balcony. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel hope. Perhaps humans were not just small and fragile creatures. Perhaps they were a species worthy of trust, respect, and even admiration. The future of Zythera and Earth had been changed forever. One human had shown that courage, kindness, and intelligence could overcome fear, distrust, and danger. And in that moment, under the shimmering sky, two worlds began to understand each other, not as rulers and subjects, but as allies, friends, and perhaps something even deeper. Liara turned to Ethan, her golden eyes reflecting the starlight. "Thank you," she whispered. Ethan smiled. "No. Thank you for showing me this world, and for showing me what it means to truly care." The stars above shone brighter that night, as if celebrating the new bond between Earth and Zythera. And as Ethan held Liara's hand, he realized that humans had a place among the stars, not because they were the strongest, but because they were brave, compassionate, and willing to reach out to others no matter how different they might be. The adventure was over, but the journey had only just begun.